Esta noche fueron desclasificadas cientos de páginas de los documentos vinculados al juicio en contra de Jeffrey Epstein, acusado de tráfico sexual. Se prevé que los documentos que se hicieron públicos este miércoles incluyan unos 200 nombres que se habían mantenido anónimos, entre ellos los de las acusadoras de Epstein, así como prominentes empresarios, políticos y figuras públicas vinculadas con él. Los documentos corresponden al juicio entablado por Virginia Jeffrey en contra de Epstein y su entonces pareja Ghislaine Maxwell por abuso sexual cuando la denunciante era menor de edad.
All right, soon a federal judge is expected to release the names of dozens of Jeffrey Epstein's alleged victims and associates. And now comedian Jimmy Kimmel is threatening a lawsuit against New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers for insinuating without any evidence at all that Kimmel's name might be in those documents. This is what Rodgers said in a radio show.
A lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, are really hoping that doesn't.
Again, we didn't play it to amplify it. We played it so you could see what was said here. Kimmel responded saying in part, "For the record, I have not met, flown with, visited, or had any contact whatsoever with Epstein, nor will you find my name in any list other than the clearly phony nonsense that soft-brained wackos like yourself can't seem to distinguish from reality. Your reckless words put my family in danger. Keep it up, and we will debate the facts further in court." Now, clearly, CNN, no one has any reporting that Kimmel is linked in any way to the Epstein case. There was some bad blood, it's notable, between Aaron Rodgers and Jimmy Kimmel because of jokes that Kimmel had made criticizing Rodgers for pushing conspiracy theories.
Much of Jeffrey Epstein's life was a mystery. Questions still surround how he went from a college dropout to a multimillionaire financier to a convicted paedophile, and facing charges of running a sex trafficking ring and coercing numerous underage girls to perform sex acts. He pleaded not guilty. And now, many of those questions will never be answered. In the early hours of August 10th, 2019, Epstein was found unresponsive in his cell at New York's Metropolitan Correctional Center, where he was awaiting trial. Authorities called it an apparent suicide. The politically connected financier's death occurred a day after a court unsealed documents alleging new details of sexual abuse claims and associates. At the heart of the documents connected to a 2015 defamation case are allegations by a woman, Virginia Roberts Giuffre, who claimed that Epstein kept her as a teenage sex slave. The accusation echoes similar allegations he had faced for more than a decade.
Epstein is charged in a 2-count indictment, sex trafficking of underage girls. Epstein is alleged to have abused dozens of victims.
So how did we get here? Epstein began his career as a high school math and physics teacher. After failing to finish college, he took a brief job at the prestigious Dalton School in Manhattan at the age of 21. From there, he shifted into the world of investment banking, joining Bear Stearns before moving on to start his own investment firm. But it wasn't until he befriended Leslie Wexner, billionaire and CEO of L Brands in the late 1980s, that his fortune really took off. Although how he got so rich is still very much unknown. There are no public records of his investments, and his clients, besides Wexner, are all a secret. What we do know is that by the 1990s, he had managed to accumulate several extravagant properties, including a multiple-story townhouse in Manhattan, a mansion in Palm Beach, a private estate in New Mexico, an apartment in Paris, and a private island in the Caribbean, according to court documents. Soon, he was rubbing shoulders with some of the world's wealthiest and most powerful people. It wasn't until 2005 that Epstein's lavish life took a turn. Around this time, he came under investigation by Palm Beach police after accusations surfaced from several underage girls accusing him of offering money for massages and sex acts. As part of a plea deal, Epstein eventually pleaded guilty in 2008 to state prostitution charges and served 13 months. He also registered as a sex offender and paid restitution to the victims identified by the FBI. This controversial agreement was brokered by then US Attorney and now former United States Secretary of Labor Alexander Acosta. It allowed him to avoid federal charges and a prison sentence.
I understand what the victims say, and I'm not here to try to say that I can stand in their shoes or that I can address their concerns. I'm here to say We did what we did because we wanted to see Epstein go to jail.
Epstein then remained largely out of the headlines until 2018, when the Miami Herald published an investigation which included interviews with more than 60 women who say they were abused by Epstein. That reporting raised more questions about his plea agreement and led the Justice Department to open an investigation into his case.
I am calling on the Department of Justice's Office of Professional Responsibility to make public the results of its review of Acosta's handling of the Epstein case.
In early July, Epstein was jailed after a federal indictment accused him of sex trafficking dozens of underage girls, some as young as 14 years old. He pleaded not guilty to the charges.
The alleged behavior shocks the conscience. And while the charged conduct is from a number of years ago, it is still profoundly important to the many alleged victims.
After his arrest, at least a dozen new victims came forward. On July 23, 2019, while awaiting trial, Epstein was found in his Manhattan jail cell with marks on his neck and placed on suicide watch. Less than a week later, Epstein was taken off suicide watch, according to a source familiar with the matter. The morning of August 10th, the Federal Bureau of Prisons announced Epstein's death, saying he had died of an apparent suicide.